Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another week of TGP2 action. This very exciting championship, which is constantly changing all the time. And as Dom Smith described it, the championship that nobody seems to want to win at the moment. And he would be absolutely right. It's had so many crazy results, not least in the previous race in Silverstone with the top three in the championship, all way down the order. And Alex Afro won an amazing race. Pretty much from the back of the grid. It was involved in a start line instance, but pitted for Inters at the right time and put the car on the top step of the podium. It was a fantastic drive. But now we are in Hungary, and we have Belgium coming up after this. And I'm just watching Bazza coming around the final corner because I said that he went purple in Sector 2. So is this going to be an improvement for Bazza? It surely will be. Well, it is, but he still stays in 9th place. Anyway, alongside me to watch tonight's races as usual is Jovial Manatee, Roy Scorer. Good evening, Roy.
Good evening, Daniel. Yeah, looking forward to tonight's races, and it seems to be a common theme that the tracks that get paired in 1 week tend to be quite contrasting to one another. So we've got Hungary, which is very tight and twisty and relies on high downforce, and then you've got the very power-dependent circuit that is the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So let's have a look at the championship standings. Then we've got Theo Hickman leading the way on 109 points. Then we have Jacko on 98 and Dom on 98. So they're the top three. But then there's a pack of Parser, Magic Buchanan, Chris Johnson, Blake Hills, Daniel P. Wheelnut. They're all separated by 11 points, with Parser on 75 points. And then down to Daniel P. Wheelnut on 66. There's 5 drivers in there chasing pack, all wanting to catch up to the top three. But the championship leader, Hickman, who's in 3rd place at the moment, he's actually picked up a 5-place penalty earlier in this session. So wherever he starts, he will, of course, drop down 5 places, which I'm sure Dom and Jacko will be very happy about, especially considering right now they are both behind Hickman. But we've still got one final run to come from all the drivers.
Yeah, and on an out lap we have Magic Poop Cannon, and let's go on board with the Estonian driver. He's got his DRS wide open down the pit straight. It's the best overtaking opportunity into turn 1 around here, and heavy on the brakes, hit the apex nicely, don't take too much curb, and goes out to the outside, uses up as much track as he possibly can. Now there's another short DRS zone on the run down to turn 2, and he misses the apex a little bit, picks up a good bit of understeer. You don't want to run out too wide because it's going to compromise his turn 3, so his run up to turn 4 is compromised. But let's see what his first sector is like. He's down on his previous time, and he's a bit wide again, and invalidated. It's too wide, and maybe a struggle to squeeze in another run. But actually, you know what, we'll go on board with his teammate. So at the same point on the track, round turn 5, you don't want to touch that curb on the inside because you will spin automatically. There's nothing you can do to save the car. Now this chicane, it's a bit slow and a bit clumsy for a modern day F1 car, but just about negotiates it. Now it's all about compromise and opening up the following corner in this section of the track, because one corner links into another and he's run wide. He's kept it valid, he's found a loophole there, but he's 0.3 of a second down on his previous time. Now let's see how he negotiates the penultimate corner. He was tight on the entry, but then ran too wide on the exit. He's aborted the lap, and that'll be the end of the session because he's not going to have enough time. So
yeah,
the onboard laps weren't the biggest success, but oh well.
Well, we still got most of the lap in, I suppose, there with the Wheelnut. Jacko went into 3rd place, so I don't think he's going to go on a final run. No, he's definitely not, because he's going very slow. So it's going to be good pass at the pole. They're currently still in the pit lane, so he won't be going out. So we've got Dom on a lap, Hickman on a lap, Poop Cannon on a lap. Mike Moons just crashed out. Just want to see what Poop Cannon's first sector time is going to be. Yeah, he's slightly down. He invalidated at turn 4 last time around. He doesn't invalidate this time. He gives a lot of space. In fact, he probably lost a bit of time there. He's possibly a bit too cautious as he heads into this twisty chicane. This middle sector around here is so tight. You have to be so precise. He works his way around the corners, just looking to see where Hickman is. Hickman's behind him. Dom's a little bit further ahead. Dom's 2 tenths up. He's coming into the penultimate corner now. And let's see where this can put him. Can he maybe get top 3, perhaps, maybe? 2 tenths up if he has a final sector good enough. I don't think he's going to be able to trouble Parsons at the top. But he comes around the final corner. You know what he might do, actually? He goes 3rd place, so about a tenth and a bit off off Parsons, sorry.
And Poop Cannon has decided
Pitted.
to abort that lap.
So it's all on Hickman.
Theo Hickman, who won't take pole, of course, but he's qualified 5th. And that will be 10th for the race start, which is it's kind of the worst place you can start. Well, actually, I suppose if you have a penalty,
it doesn't really matter.
The worst place is 15th. But
yeah,
that's not ideal because he'll have to start on those used tyres. But track position around here is crucial, as many drivers found out yesterday in the TGP1 race. And,
yes, indeed. This is where the right train was created yesterday. For several laps at the second half of the race in TGP1.
Not for the first time.
No, certainly not for the first time. But yeah, we do know that those kinds of situations can happen around here, and track position can be very, very, very important as the drivers head back into the pit lane. And we're expecting a dry race, by the way. Just a 10% chance of rain, we believe. So hopefully, you would imagine it's going to stay totally dry.
So your grid order then, we have officially Parsa on pole position for the McLaren Formula 1 team, with Magic Poop Cannon joining him on the front row. Dom Smith, a very impressive P3 for Aston Martin, followed by championship contender Jacko. Theo qualifies 5th, but will actually start 10th due to that 5-place penalty for a collision with his teammate. Wet Lemons is in P6, followed by Daniel P. Wheelnut, Blair Grills, Sir Tom Penguin, an impressive P9, with Baza rounding out the top 10. Of course, he will start 9th. Sayer Sports is the first driver to have a fresh choice of tyres in the race, followed by Mike Noon, Indecisive Mackie, Chris Johnson, Alex Zaffro in P15, followed by Red Bull Kim, Kaya, Stereogram, and at the back of the grid will be Mr. John in the other Red Bull.
And that's Parsa's 3rd pole position of the season. It's the most of anybody so far this season, but can sometimes be a little bit inconsistent in the races, can't he? And he will want to change. I say he is 4th in the championship, but he's 20 points off really the top 3 who he's trying to hunt down. And we'll see if he can do that. He's certainly in the best place to do that, but turn 1 around here can always be quite tight, quite tricky. Let's hope there's no Bottas bowling going on into the first corner.
And hopefully everyone's wheel can stay connected properly.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, let's hope for that as well. We don't want a repeat of that.
So, getting ready to race around the Hungaroring. The lights are coming on now. 4 lights, 5. And we are away in Hungary, and again Amazon are very keen to show us the strategy, but it's a dreadful start from Parsa, and it's Magic Poop Cannon who takes the lead with Dom Smith alongside him. Dom Smith has the racing line, but it's Magic Poop Cannon with the inside, but Dom Smith takes the track position around the outside of the circuit, and it's Parsa who goes wide. He's still in the top 3, so it's not the worst thing for Parsa in the world, but he has lost that track position at the start of this race. It's Dom Smith who goes straight up into first place, and the two McLarens nearly side by side on the run up to turn 4. Parsa's run wide again. Can Wet Lemons go around the outside of turn 4 on the first lap? Will it be Wet Lemons or Parsa who prevails into turn 4? They're still side by side. If the camera angle will change, that'd be great. And it is Parsa who retains P3 from his teammate.
I'm amazed that Parsa managed to get through there and stay into 3rd place at least, because it was a terrible start for him. It just did not get going at the start, and got caught out by Poop Cannon and Dom, and almost his teammate, but does stay in 3rd. Joe Sayers had a great start. Joe Sayers made up 5 positions up to 6th place. What a flyer he's had in the Ferrari, as he missed last week. Back this week, runs very wide there, turn 11, but he should get away with it. Might not get a penalty for that. But again, look, Wet Lemons all over Parsa. Parsa's lost it. Parsa has spun. That's exactly what I done yesterday. You take a bit too much curb on the entry, and the car will just go out on you like that, and you will spin and half spin as Parsa did, and lose another 2 positions.
So it's a dreadful first lap then for Parsa. Dropping 2 places wasn't a total disaster, but dropping 4, yeah, you have to consider that a really poor first lap for the McLaren driver, so he just needs to regroup now. It's not the easiest track to overtake at, but I suppose it can just about be done. So Parser just needs to regroup now. There's still 17 laps of this race to go. Up at the front, it's Magic Poop Cannon putting a lot of pressure on Dom Smith. The gap is only 0.2 of a second. He won't be close enough into turn 4 this time around. But Dom certainly has a lot of pressure from the Mercedes driver.
We had one driver pitting there. We had Daniel Wheelnut came in and he changed his front wing, so he must have picked up a bit of damage at the start. He was the only driver to pit. Hickman, by the way, did not have a great start at all. Hickman's lost a couple of positions. He's in 12th at the moment. So we've got Dom in the lead, Jacko in 4th, and Hickman in 12th. So very good stuff at the moment for Dom. But Poop Cannon is still right on him, isn't he? He is right on him. The DRS will be deployed on the next lap, of course. So won't be able to have a go DRS this time round. And that's the corner there. Just take a bit too much curb on that entry. You will spin the car. And it can't take you by surprise. Dom nearly lost it on exit. And Poop Cannon is going to try and go around the outside, the final corner. And he's going to make it stick.
Yeah, Dom really not feeling confident. He does not seem to have the car underneath him that he would like. He is in the slipstream now of the Mercedes, but he's got Wet Lemons all over the back of him. Now Wet Lemons is going to try and move around the outside. He's not going to make it stick, but he will get a better run into turn 2 after getting the switchback. But I don't think he's going to be close enough into turn 2. So Dom will retain second place. But I think Dom, he wasn't too happy being in the lead. He seemed to kind of, almost let Magic Poop Cannon go. So I think he's happy to just kind of sit behind him and just regroup and get a better feeling for the car rather than being the one to lead the race. But
possibly
the McLaren is going to go up the inside at the chicane, surely. Who gets the track position here? No, Wet Lemons bails out of it. Dom skips across the chicane there, but he was ahead heading into it, so I think that move should be allowed to stand just about. When we have a McLaren and an Alfa Romeo side by side in the middle sector of the Hungary ring, that's not something you really see every day around this track. And it, in the end, is Jacko who will prevail. But Wet Lemons, Parsa, I should say, Parsa.
Oh,
he thought about it, he went for it, but there just wasn't enough. And Parsa taking a lot of the entry curb, so he wasn't thrown off by that incident, which threw him off. But it's Jacko who pits first of the front runners.
Early stop for Jacko then is that to get out of the traffic. We have got a yellow flag out. Somebody gone off. I think it was Sergio possibly went off. But I noticed the Red Bulls were getting very close together as well. But I don't think there was any incident caused there. So Jacko makes his way out of the traffic then. It turns the front runners. He's the first driver to come in. And we'll see if that pays off for him. Especially if a bit of a train does begin to form here behind Dom Smith. But will Jacko have any traffic as he comes out the pit lane? Probably not. He's only really got Kyle ahead of him.
And Alex Zafro tried to move, it looked like, around the outside of turn 2 on Chris Johnson. That did not work out for him. Chris Johnson down in 10th. It just isn't really coming together for him this season. The pace just doesn't really seem to be there. I believe he has won a race this season, but yeah, it's just not really coming together as Alex Zafro skates across the sausage curb on the outside of turn 5. But
and then spins
wide, and then he spins.
He's going to have to get going again. Alex Zafro, the driver, of course, who won brilliantly in Silverstone in those wet conditions, has spun here in Hungary at the chicane. Looked like he was struggling quite a bit, but he is back underway now and then gets a 3-second penalty as well. And Parsa's done it again. Parsa's done the same error at the penultimate corner again. He's got to be careful, and now he loses the position to Say Sport, so he goes down to 5th place now.
And I believe we have another driver in the pits. It is Theo Hickman in the Williams, getting rid of those soft tyres. Now this could work out for him. He could, we know he has a lot of pace. He did qualify up in P5, so he should not really be this far down. It was just a pity about that penalty in qualifying. So he may jump a few cars here, or at least one, by doing the undercut.
Possibly. Just watching, there's Jacko. Jacko's going to get back past, as you would expect, and he was quite further ahead. So yeah, we'll have to find out in a moment where that sort of shakes out for Hickman. But maybe he can put in some good laps on those medium tyres while he has the chance to do so. Chris Johnson, by the way, starts on the mediums. He's in 9th place. So he'll be running quite long, you would imagine. Be interesting to see how that plays out for him. But just amazed that Parsa done that same error again. And he's got Blair Grills now catching up to him. Say Sports now up to 4th place. He must be loving this race. But he is 2.5 seconds behind Wet Lemons in 3rd, who's still pressuring Dom.
The yellow flag, there's a spin.
Red Bull Kim
at the chicane.
Oh, Hickman got past Kaya and forced Kaya into a spin.
Mike Noon is out of the race. He has crashed on the exit of turn 3. Now, will that bring out a virtual safety car or a full safety car? Doesn't seem like it at the moment. Michael Massey seems happy with proceedings, so I don't think we're gonna get one.
No.
That one will be called.
Well, we
by
have
now.
got Dom in, Wet Lemons in as well, Save Sports in, but Save Sports got a penalty for speeding. So this is a crucial moment in the race where they possibly anticipate a safety car. Let's see where Jacko is, because Jacko's coming around the final corner. And how many positions can he make up here? Can he get ahead of Dom? Can he get ahead of Wet Lemons? I don't think he will. Here we go. There's Save Sports. Save Sports still might actually get out of him as well. So that's not really worked for Jacko.
Yeah, and they're side by side on the run down to turn 2. But it's Sarah Sports who will retain the position ahead of Jacko in the Alfa Romeo. So Dom stays ahead of Wet Lemons. Gap is very close. Now the drivers up ahead have yet to pit, so I believe Dom is the lead driver of those who have pitted.
Yeah.
So the last thing he needs to see now is a safety car. So Magic Poop Cannon yet to pit. Blair Grill's yet to pit. I wonder, can Dom get any kind of undercut? But it doesn't seem like the undercut really works. I think the medium tyres compared to the softs, there's quite a big deficit. The soft tyres yield a lot of pace. They don't last very long, but they do have a big advantage as well. Wet Lemons gets a lot of oversteer on the exit of turn 11, but he keeps it on the track and he's still pressuring Dom, still well within DRS.
Well, there's Poop Cannon coming in there now, and let's see if he can hold on to his lead. As you say, the undercut possibly not working too well, and you would fully expect Poop Cannon to retain his lead here. Coming out to the final corner now is Dom. Poop Cannon is on the pit exit. Here comes Dom down the main straight, and actually it's going to be it's going to be a bit closer than I thought it would be. And Alex Zafra, who still hasn't pitted, is going to be in the melee here as well, and slots in between the pair of them.
And the cars eventually come into shot, and yeah, Alex Zafro is in between the two drivers now. Dom will be itching to get past him as soon as he possibly can, and that's a big advantage, as you can see. I think they did.
Yeah, and Wet Lemons was flying and nearly ran into the back of them there as well. He had so much extra pace, and Parsons won again.
At turn number 3, virtual safety car.
Well, he's not out the race, Parser, but yeah, that has caused the VSA. That's where Jack and the McLaren crashed yesterday, wasn't it? But Parser is still in the race. Caused a virtual safety car, though. Just looking, Chris Johnson on his medium tyres. If this VSC stays out a little bit longer, it might work out fairly decent for him, but I don't think it will, considering we haven't even actually had a retirement there. I imagine possibly it might be some debris on the track, or just because the car was not moving for a brief period of time then. So we're going to wait for this restart, and Mr. John has pitted on the soft tyres. Chris Johnson, however, decides to stay out.
Yeah, I think this will work out for Mr. John a lot better than it would for Chris Johnson, because Chris is on those mediums and the soft tyres do degrade very quickly, so 10 laps on the soft around here. Then again, if you can keep the car on the track, then you can probably keep a good bit of track position, but yeah, I think I would have stayed out in Chris's position, but I also would have pitted in Mr. John's position. So this has worked out brilliantly for Mr. John. It's quite a long
VSC. It's worked out fantastically for Mr. John, hasn't it? And there we go, just as we get going again, just as he hits the pit lane exit. So that's worked out brilliantly for Mr. John. He's ahead of Blair Gills now. He's going to be ahead of Zafra. It was ahead of Zafra, wasn't he, of course? But anyway, yeah, it's worked out very, very well for Mr. John, that virtual safety car.
And Wet Lemons all over the gearbox of the Aston Martin of Dom Smith. The top 3, the net top 3, all within a second. So it seems Dom's preferring the mediums over the softs, or perhaps he just had a pretty good virtual safety car restart. But Magic Poop Cannon's actually now beginning to pull away in that middle sector. Of course, Dom does have the dirty air, whereas Magic Poop Cannon is running in clean air. So there is that to bear in mind, but you'd imagine Chris Johnson, as he rounds the final corner, will stay out, and he does indeed. So Magic Poop Cannon, he's now cleared the DRS range that Dom needed to be within. He's 1.2 seconds clear of the Aston Martin, but Wet Lemons is all over the back. He's taken a wider line to try and get a better exit out of the final corner. His DRS is wide open, and the McLaren driver does have the slipstream. Heading down into turn 1, Dom goes defensive. He takes the inside line. Wet Lemons will try to go around the outside, but he's not going to do it. He's trying to look for the switchback, and he gets it done just about, but then they tap wheels on the exit, and that delays his momentum, that delays his acceleration out of the corner, and Wet Lemons stays behind.
don't think that caused any damage to Wet Lemons, although he has dropped off quite a bit there and went a bit wide into turn 3. So has it possibly caused him a bit of damage? I suppose it may. Well done. Indecisive just spun on the start-finish straight on the exit of the final corner. I'm just trying to see on Wet Lemon's car. It's much more difficult in this game to check if there's damage. It doesn't look like there's any damage. So maybe he has just genuinely dropped off, but it seems a bit more than what you would usually expect a car to drop off after having a movement like that.
Yeah, I think Wet Lemons may actually have slight damage because he did look a good bit quicker than Dom, it has to be said. He's now 1.5 seconds back. I think he may have some slight wing damage. So now I think right now the best he can probably hope for is P3, and he's actually deciding to pit.
Yeah, I mean, he was crawling through that penultimate corner there. He had so much understeer. So he has decided to come in then. So, well, turned into a bit of a disastrous race for the McLarens then, as Jose progresses up into 4th place, but he does have that 5-second penalty, remember, which is good for... And Hickman and Jacko are going side by side as well now, just behind them, and Hickman is actually going to get through on Jacko. Championship leader passes Jacko, the guy who crashed in Silverstone from the lead, and now sees the championship leader overtake him.
So it's working out fairly well for Theo, given that he started in P10 now in a net P4. Well, actually a net P3, because Sayre Sports does, of course, have that 5-second penalty. And Theo, well, at this race, does not look like he's going to be finishing outside 5 seconds of the Ferrari, as Parsa, after his spin, well, his 3rd spin of the race, has set the fastest lap of the race. And he's within the top 14. So that extra point will count. So... scant consolation though, given that he is running down in 14th after starting on pole position.
Yeah, absolutely. Hickman now right on the back of Sayre Sports as well. I'm sure he'll see that he has the penalty, Sayre Sports, and he knows the no real need to rush. Although if he gets past Sayre Sports, it's 5.5 seconds to Don. Is that possibly doable in the final stages of this race? I suppose perhaps it could be. He did pit. Hickman tyres are 1 lap older than Don, so maybe not. But Hickman with the DRS cannot gain on Jose down this main straight. So it's as you were. Meanwhile, Blair Gills and Mr. John are going side by side. Mr. John benefits usually from that VSC, and Blair Gills overtakes him. But Mr. John, going to do the switcheroo, is he? If he can stick around and hold on for the next corner. But no, Blair Gills then begins to stretch away slightly, and it looks like Blair Gills has 7th place in the bag now.
And Daniel P. Wilnot, who's also having a pretty misfortunate race. We have a spin, and Parsa has retired at the penultimate corner. Now, is that going to cause any kind of delay to this race?
No, I think it's just a retirement, just on the road retirement. I think he just chose to retire. I wonder if he's done the same thing again at that penultimate corner, maybe, and just decides to throw everything up in the air and storm off. Perhaps that's what's happened, but it just shows again. It's just it's such a shame. So inconsistent at times, isn't he?
And the other McLaren,
what's he done?
Lemons has spun.
What's going on here with the McLarens?
Yeah, they're struggling with the rear end of the car, and that's another position lost for the other McLaren. So,
well, here's Hickman now, who's right on the back of Sayre Sports again, and he can't get past them, and it's allowing Jacko to come back into this here. And Blair Gill's beginning to catch as well as Bazza. Is he going to try and now pass Mr. John? Mr. John defends the line better than he did previously, and Blair Gill's passed him on the last lap. And Bazza's going to have to try and go round the long way here. We've got another yellow flag out, but there's no car on the road, so I don't think anything significant happened there.
Bazza with a run down into turn 4, but it's not going to do anything. There's a Haas. I think the Haas might be moving out of the way or recovering from the spin.
It's Kaya, I think.
We don't need to worry about that. But Theo still stuck behind Sayre Sports. Now I will say that in terms of ERS management, Sayre Sports is doing a better job than Theo, but he doesn't have a lot left. And actually Theo may get a run down into turn 12. Theo on the inside tries to outbrake him, but it's just not going to work. He's going to wait until turn 1 once again. He's going to have to hope he's a little bit closer. Sayre Sports, I think, will actually get DRS behind the ghost of Haas car. We have a spin for Blair Grills, and he's out the race.
Oh, How does he manage that? Blair Grills goes for a spin, and we do have a safety car because of that. That has caused a safety car, a strange spin in a strange position, and it has caused a safety car. And Chris Johnson had just pitted, and Chris Johnson's going to be in a fantastic place here. He comes out ahead of Say Sports, he's in third, but Say Sports tries to go back round. He says, that's my place. And, well, seemingly it was his place, because he's through. And it doesn't look like there's been any warning or anything. I was on board with Chris at the time, so I didn't see exactly where Joe was in comparison. But clearly Joe must have just been slightly ahead of the line.
So Chris Johnson then must have been putting in some good lap times, because he would have been within this group anyway.
Yeah, it certainly would have been close with the battles that were being caused there with Hickman and Jacko. I think he probably would have come out possibly around where Mr. John and Bazza are, but certainly got helped a lot by the safety car, which then everybody of course had to immediately react to and get in the delta of. So Chris Johnson is in a fantastic position here. He was outside the top 10 in qualifying. He didn't even set a lap on the soft tyres. And could he possibly go on to now win this if he can start flying on those fresh softs in the final stages of the race?
Something I did notice is that, actually I just realised Sayer Sports could serve his penalty, and I think he may be better off doing that, because if the field is going to be bunched up, if you have a 5-second penalty, well, he's...
That's a good theory, but he's obviously not listening to our commentary.
Yeah, because he would have only dropped to P8, and as things stand, when the field bunches up...
Yeah. I didn't realise just how big the gap is, between Wheelnut and Bazza. He would have come out in 8th. Oh, why didn't you do that, Joe? Could have put a fresh set of softs on. And, well, you may regret that decision.
And what makes, I suppose, even less sense is why didn't Bazza pit? Or Mr. John?
What? Oh, well, actually, that's a good point as well, yeah. They could also put a fresh set of tyres on.
Why is no one pitting? Everyone's driving past the pit lane. There's some drivers are already on softs, but I mean, if you're already at the back, you might as well make them fresher, because they don't really last very long. So, Sertan Penguin also on softs. Wet Lemon.
I did see Alex Afro pitted. Both the Alpha Tauris pitted, in fact. They both put a fresh set of soft tyres on.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, certainly Bazza and Mr. John could have reacted at that moment in time and could possibly come in. And certainly Jose could have, to get rid of that 5-second penalty, which he's going to have added at the end of the race and could prove to be painful for him. But for the likes of Chris Johnson and Hickman, or Chris Johnson certainly, what a big opportunity this is for him. Hickman's still going to have to try and get past Jose, who does not seem like the easiest car to overtake around here today. But you would imagine Chris can do it on the fresh softs.
Yeah, like I remember I was in a similar position. I'd already pitted. There were drivers on fresh softs behind me, and they just, well, yeah, it was actually Luca Chiappelli. He just drove past me pretty much. You know, he just had the grip. Like, there was nothing that I could do. The tire gap is huge at this circuit, so Chris Johnson could very well be a threat for the win.
Well, I think he won that race in Portugal, didn't he? When, if you remember, when Hickman had the penalty and had that penalty, the drive-through penalty for not slowing down under the VSC, which then promoted the win to Chris. Could he possibly be on for another win here? Could he possibly deny Hickman once again for another win this season? He's going to only have 3 laps to do it. It's going to be a frantic finish to this race.
Yep, and we have presumably just the 1 lap more around the circuit behind the safety car, which will make it a 3-lap sprint to the finish. Now Chris Johnson will, well, he's probably going to have to get past Sayer Sports in the first 2 corners of the restart if he's going to have a chance to win, because he's probably not going to be passing any cars in the second sector. It kind of all has to be done in the first and final sectors. So Chris is really going to have to get aggressive if he is to win this. So it'll be interesting to see how Magic Poop Cannon does the safety car restart, because the one in TGP1 yesterday, the leader waited very, very late.
Yeah.
Which was a surprise, given that it's not really a track you associate that with. it's not really something that's particularly necessary because the dirty air through the final corner is already enough. But yeah, I guess
Well,
we'll
if
see
Chris
how it
can get
goes.
past, if Chris can get past Joe Sayer fairly easily, it may be fairly comfortable for him to get past Dom as well. Dom might not want to be fighting too much because he's in the championship battle. But then he'll have Pupkan. Pupkan and Chris Johnson, by the way, are only separated by 1 point in the championship. Pupkan's on 73, Chris Johnson's on 72. So it could get a bit tasty between these guys. And here we go. Pupkan is backing them right up. And
He's
is
already
it gone
gone, is
already? I think he has, yeah.
He's
Gone
gone.
already. Dom's totally sleeping.
There's almost no point watching them because, we might as well just watch the battle for second now. Because Chris Johnson, by the way, he's already got a run on Joe Sayer. He stays behind. He's not allowed to overtake before the start-finish line. Joe goes defensive, but Chris Johnson will have the inside line. He's got better tyres, better braking ability, so much turning ability that he took a lot of curb at turn 1. I don't think he was expecting the grip levels. Now, can he go around the outside of turn 2? I think he should be able to. I think they just made contact.
Yeah, he stayed in there, Joe Sayer. He actually managed to muscle his way, stay in there, and it's allowed Hickman to close right in as well. And Chris Johnson is going to be alongside Hickman now. They're going to be side by side going into turn 4. Is Hickman going to get through on the soft tyres of Chris Johnson? Chris Johnson tries to stick it out and go into turn 5 and maintain the position. But wow, Hickman wants to cause the fight there for Chris Johnson.
Now, I'm not quite sure what happened at turn 2. I don't know if Joe kind of barged Chris out the way or if...
Well, it did look a little bit like that, I have to say.
Yeah, because he is trying to fend off a car on the softs, and Chris Johnson, he's going to have to kind of get the move done. Well, I mean, if it's not done by turn 1, then Magic Poop Cannon's going to be breathing a major sigh of relief. But then again, he's 2.4 seconds in the lead. He caught Dom completely off guard at the restart there. And timed it at the perfect time. Sir Tom Penguin's gone for a spin in the background.
Yes.
He's dropped out of the points. There's only one car who's not in the points, and well, it's him. So Chris Johnson now all over the back of Joe Sayer. Let's go on board just to make sure we can actually see the move. And Mr. John's gone for a spin at the final corner, but Chris Johnson around the outside of Joe Sayer. Joe has the track position for now, but they're side by side, and now Chris Johnson's got the inside for turn 2 this time, so surely this should be an easier, more straightforward move. He takes a lot of curb at turn 2, does Chris Johnson. Now who comes out on top? It is Chris Johnson, who's moved himself up into the podium places. So now he's going to chase after Dom Smith for P2.
But he's got it done eventually then, and he'll be saying that should have happened on the last lap. But he makes it done now, makes it stick now, and is Hickman going to try and get through as well? Oh, he's going to be so careful on that turn 5 curb where you risk a big spin, and Jacko might go through now on the chicane. Very late on the brakes, unbelievably late. Hickman's got off. It's forced Hickman to run wide, and he's had to take the escape route. Oh, there might be some controversy over there. And then he runs wide again, and Jacko does go through.
I don't think Theo has any damage. Sorry, it's hard to differentiate the camera angles here, but yeah, Theo, he's dropped a place. He's now P6, so I
don't know if maybe he did cut right across the chicane, then did he possibly get told to let him through, perhaps? I'm not sure, but he was very late on the brakes, Jacko. He just absolutely sent one, and it's worked out for him. He's into 5th place, basically 4th place, because it says penalty. But this is it now. This is Chris Johnson going for 2nd place on Dom.
He's got the DRS. Oh, he hasn't got the DRS open. The DRS will be enabled. Actually, it won't be enabled on this lap. But Chris Johnson around the outside of turn 1. There's nothing that Dom can actually do to defend the position. Chris Johnson is now up into P2. And if Dom had a better safety car restart, I think Chris may be challenging Poop Cannon. But Poop Cannon is 3 seconds down the road. So I think, barring any major errors, this is Poop Cannon's to lose. I don't think Chris Johnson has enough left to catch up.
Yeah, I'd be amazed if he does, but a bit further back then we've got Hickman again right on Jacko. I wonder if Hickman might still try and have a go on Jacko, because Jacko can't get past Joe Sayer. So is Hickman going to go for it? He's going to try and do what Jacko done on the previous lap. But Jacko was well aware of it. I think he knew that was coming and stays in 5th place. Incredible stuff between these two. Battling for a championship, of course. And Joe Sayer is, well, thank you to him, because he's obviously... difficult to overtake Ferrari. It's created a great battle between these two.
There's a spin in the background. It's Baza. Baza has crashed in the Alfa Romeo.
And Poop Cannon's about to win the race.
He is around the final corner. Comes Magic Poop Cannon to win at the Hungaroring in TGP2. Magic Poop Cannon wins from Chris Johnson. An excellent drive. Dom Smith led the race early on, but finishes on the podium nonetheless.
Oh.
Jacko comes home in P4, Theo Hickman in P5. Sayre Sport, after speeding in the pit lane, will come home in 6th position, followed by Wet Lemons in the McLaren, having a bit of a recovery drive after some incidents earlier on in the race. Daniel P. Wheelnut, pitted on lap 1, manages to finish in P8. Now let's see who the driver of the day was. It was, I'd imagine it's Chris Johnson.
It would be Chris Johnson.
And it is indeed. So
well,
Chris Johnson from outside the top 10 to P2 in the race.
There was a 5-second penalty given out under the safety car with, was it Wet Lemons and Alex Afro, wasn't it? So that might get removed from Wet Lemons' time. So Wet Lemons possibly might finish ahead of Joe Sayre. But they was side by side crossing the line, Hickman and Wet Lemons. So was Wet Lemons actually ahead? No, he wasn't. He wasn't, because it would have been 8.228. But it was very, very close between them. Hickman nearly lost it in the penultimate corner. So I think it'll be 6th place for Wet Lemons, and then 7th for Joe Sayre.
And Red Bull Kim came home in 9th place for Ferrari. So Red Bull Kim from 16th to 9th, surely his best result of the season. So Red Bull Kim in P9 with Sir Tom Penguin, despite that spin late on in the race, comes home 10th. Mr. John will finish in P11, followed by Baza, who spun at the end of the race. Alex Afro 13th, with Stereogram picking up the final points position. Indecisive Mackie finished a lap down, so a race to forget for him. And the retirements of Kaya, Blair Grills, Parsa and Mike Noon.
Well, I'm going to try and attempt to work out the standings at this stage. It might take me a bit of a while, but I'm going to give it a go to see where things are at the moment. We had Hickman finishing in 5th place there, didn't we? So I will quickly get to my high-tech calculator, which is a great app called CalcBot, which I would highly recommend.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, not an ad, not an ad.
I thought when he said high tech, I thought you meant the F2 team. I was like, how did you get a branded calculator? I want one.
No, sadly not. It's but it is a good app though, and I'll try and work out the standings as we look ahead to Spa, which is coming up in just a moment. 25 points for Buchanan in that race. Who got the fastest lap? It was Real Not, wasn't it? Who got the fastest lap?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, that's not going to have an effect on anything in the standings. Bear with. Spa was a race which I was looking forward to yesterday, but sadly my internet connection decided not to play ball. I believe, did you have a spin on the first lap around here yesterday?
Yeah, it wasn't really the smoothest race for either of us. Yeah, spin on lap 1. Very, very annoyed with myself. But these things happen in Formula 1. There's only so much you can do. But yeah, the curb at Pouan, I'd be very surprised if we don't see a spin at that very corner. So yeah, going side by side through there, especially on lap 1, it's very easy to misjudge, as I found out the hard way. But
yeah,
yeah,
I think it's inevitable that somebody is going to spin, or several people will spin at the Pouan corner. But the curbs all around this track can be quite dodgy, can't they, on this game?
Yeah, every sector has something treacherous to it. I think in TGP 1 last night, I think, across qualifying and the race, we saw crashes in all 3 sectors. So it is a very challenging track. And the drivers who don't spin or crash are certainly going to be rewarded for it.
Absolutely. So I have almost worked out the standings. You'll be delighted there. 10 points for Hickman. So after that race, I believe that the standings are currently looking the top 5 in the championship. After that race, I think we've got the top 5 in the championship. We all finished top 5 in that race, by the way. And we have the championship standing order now, I believe, of Hickman on 119 points. Then you have Dom on 113, Jacko on 110, and then after winning the race, Poop Cannon on 98, and Chris Johnson on 90. So that first and second place that they got in that race has allowed them to catch right up, really. They were the ones in that part of that pack of 5 drivers who were on 70-odd points, who were hoping to catch up. Parser was there as well, of course, but couldn't make the most of it in that race. But those two could, and they've closed right in now on the top 3. But Hickman on 119, Dom 113, Jacko 110. So 9 points separate the top 3 in the championship.
So just a few seconds to go. Stereogram carefully selecting his tyre allocation. Now, what will the weather be like? I mean, for qualifying, it certainly looks like it's going to be dry. Although it did rain towards the end of the session in TGP1 in a rather kind of... Well, it's just never really good when that happens, to be honest. It's much better when it's the other way around, when the track's drying up. But when it starts raining, it's like, oh, there's only half a session.
I can tell you that, talking of rain, I am being told that there is a 91% chance of rain for this race. A full wet race is possibly ahead of us. It'll be the second wet race this season in TGP2. So I haven't had one in TGP1 yet. And around Spa as well. Always challenging. And, well, I'm looking forward to this, right?
This, yeah, we're surely in for something eventful. This track is challenging enough in the dry, so I mean, we saw a spin off the line in Silverstone, so
what's it going to be like through Eau Rouge? What's it going to be like through the Source as they all try and get through there at the start? I dread to think, but well, we'll find out in 16.5 minutes. But first, you have to see who can be the Max Verstappen, and be on the radio saying, well, I can't see any spray ahead of me, mate, because they are on pole position. Let's see who can manage to pull the lap out of the bag in this session.
Yeah, hopefully we do get a bit more running in the TGP2 race than we did in the actual event.
But 3 laps. Oh, maybe Kyle set the fastest lap. You never know.
Maybe, yeah. And then not get awarded.
Yeah, and then it won't be officially recognised, yeah, by TGP. We've already got Parser off. Parser's gone off and done a Perez. That's at Le Con. But that's in the dry conditions. We get to go on once again then. But certainly with this track, obviously, you always hear people say how much of a challenge it is, and obviously it is a challenge. It's an incredible circuit. But I really felt like it's a challenge, a huge challenge on an F1 game. I feel like the more like Monaco and Suzuka are possibly more challenging, more rewarding when you get a good lap in. But on this game, it is genuinely rewarding, I think, when you get a decent lap in around here. I think it's because it's so difficult, really, with the curbs. You do have to be so careful in certain places. So when you get the lap in, it's satisfying stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just the curbs that are really causing the issues. I mean, apart from that, it's... Oh, and Mike Noon has gone for a spin at Radion. Actually, I think it was more Eau Rouge he actually had the spin at, but he's ended up at Radion. And no damage. Laps ruined, but he will be fine to continue on in the session, and he'll still get another 2 runs. Maybe 3, but most likely 2. So, Mike Noon still in the session. How does Blair Grills negotiate these corners? Just fine.
He nearly lost it again there, Mike Noon, as I feel they can, but he's got away with it. He's got a Ferrari right behind him, I'd say, Sports also on an out lap. So who's on a lap then at this stage?
Blair Grills is on a lap.
Indeed. Heading through Malmedy. You can take so much curb through there. You have to be committed to it, though. And then I hate this horrible right-hander. No name, where you can also take quite a bit of curb, but not too much. Nice little be an invalidation.
No name, which apparently actually has 3 different names.
Yeah.
It's just no one can actually agree on which one to use. Pouan, or the Double Gauche, that also has 2 names. The Fanya Chicane. It's one of these tracks that has names, and the names have actually stuck.
Yeah.
There are other tracks with names, such as Albert Park, but for some reason the names have never actually really stuck around there, despite most corners actually having a name to them. But Blair Grills runs quite wide through the Paul Frere curve on the run down to Blanchimont. Quite uphill around here. Slipstream is very effective in this final sector.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge, isn't it? If you can get to doing late on the brakes for the bus stop chicane, take probably a bit more curb than that, but Bergill's just taking it easy on his first lap, and I think it's going to put him quickest. It does indeed at 1:44.590 then at this stage. That's the early lap set. Mike Noon set a 2:17, but his lap's being invalidated.
Theo Hickman on a lap, the DRS wide open. Now the Lecombe section, a scene of many spins and crashes on this game. It's again, the curbs, you know, it is about balancing risk and reward, but it does sometimes feel like there is too much risk involved. I've got to say, but Theo hasn't validated his lap.
Yeah.
Dom goes quickest with a 44.1. Magic Poop Cannon slots behind in P2. So it's Dom on provisional pole in the early stages of this session. We will get a fully dry qualifying session, so we do still have another, I'd say, at least 2 runs.
I think we've got a few drivers who pretty much abandoned the first run. Serton Penguins came in, Alex Afro's come in. These guys were all out on track beforehand. Jacko now come back out again. Because that's the thing, really. If you invalidate a lap, or if sometimes you don't want to really go around, do a whole other lap and prepare, possibly go for a second time. You really just have to come out, do a lap, and get back in the pits because it's such a long circuit. And Red Bull Kim, in fact, is out of the session.
Baza looks like he's slightly struggling with the power through Lecombe, perhaps applying a bit too much. But as long as he gets a valid lap in, if he gets a valid lap in, he will jump into at least 7th. So
yeah.
I think that just highlights track limits as well around this track are well, a bit overly strict, but hey ho, Mike Noon pops himself up into P5, so we now have 7 valid laps. And that was a struggle with TGP1 last night, because we knew our session was going to be curtailed with the rain, so it became even more crucial to get that banker lap in. And Baza, an allegedly purple middle sector, but we know how that graphic sometimes gets displayed, so I think we can somewhat ignore it. Daniel P.
Wheel nuts out the session. Is he at the pit wall?
Pit lane. Yeah.
I think he's done a U.
Thank you.
Yeah, he has done a U. I think he has, because if you hit the pit wall, it resets you onto the racing line, and that's exactly where Wheelnut was there. So he must have hit the pit wall. He's done a U. I suppose you could also say he's done a Kimi Räikkönen as well, to be fair.
That's how I prefer to look at it. But, at least it was in a championship that perhaps wasn't so public. But
yeah, absolutely. Oh wow! Sorry, Josiah through Paul Frere there, almost hitting the wall. But it did say also that he was paving in the middle sector, but he certainly would have lost time through there. Just got away with it though, just managed to avoid the barrier, and I think he's going to complete this lap. Josiah did have to go again. He invalidated his first one. So is he going to... No, he's not going to finish it. That's what I was... Oh, there's the tyre. There's the tyre on my screen there, just sitting on the entry of the pit lane, as Josiah is deciding to come in. So 8 minutes into the session, we've only got 8 laps officially on the board.
Parsa.
We might be about to get Parsa on the board now as well, yeah.
So Parsa, DRS open a few meters before the lap ends, and it's provisional pole for the McLaren. 43.7. He's a good bit clear of Dom in P2, so it could be a second pole of the season, of the night, fourth of the season, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Just want to watch Jacko here. 115.2 in the middle sector. It also says he's gone purple.
we have a spin for a Williams.
I can't remember what Parsons was, but we'll see what Jacko can do here anyway then. And we noticed he is a lot quicker in a straight line. He took Blanchard 194 miles per hour there. Pretty much everybody else who I've watched so far has been about 189, 190. So interesting possible setup difference there as Jacko comes out of the final corner and goes into second place.
So you mentioned he's got more straight line speed, but the race is wet. So
yeah, well that's what I was thinking. Yeah, maybe that's possibly not what you want.
So yeah, maybe other drivers are tweaking their setup ever so slightly and Jacko hasn't, or Jacko is still going for a low downforce configuration, but not paying too much attention to the weather.
Well, it would be certainly brave if that's what he is doing, but I'll keep a lookout on that on the speedometer as we see other drivers go through there as well to see what it's like for others. But certainly everybody else prior to that have been about 189, 190. As Alex Zafra has gone for a spin at Pouon, who was trying to get a lap in, but he's going to have to go again because that lap, well, it will count still, but it won't be a very fast one. Got Hickman starting a lap at this stage. Got Wet Lemons in the final sector. He's invalidated. Alex Zafra was actually also invalidated. Wow, seen a lot of drivers having issues here. And Jacko, whoa, Jacko, how did he do that? He's invalidated this time, but I don't think he was even on a lap, was he? And goes massively off. And Blake Grills is now out of the session as well. Chaos, and we're not even at the rain yet.
Well, there's the Pouon spin, number one of how many we shall see.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very challenging corner. It has been for a while now, though, with that inside curb, seemingly being quite ruthless towards the drivers. But Theo has invalidated his latest
again.
attempt.
Yeah. Well, if he's not careful, he's really only going to get one more run in possibly at this stage. He's going to have to be careful with that. Dom is on a lap at the moment. In third place, he's just slightly off in the first sector. So I think he might be the man to watch at this stage. Everybody else seems to be on an out lap or further behind Dom on the circuit or invalidated the lap, quite frankly. Mr. John in the pits, Stereogram is about to complete a lap. Might as well see what Stereogram can do as he crosses the line. He goes set to 149.4. But let's see what Dom can do then the end of this lap. Can he find a time to go ahead of Parsec?
So slightly down in the first sector, but the second sector is the one with all the corners, and he's managed to find some time. Not going to trouble Parsa unless he has a pretty mega final sector. He will not benefit from any kind of tow, so I think for Dom, P2 is probably the best he can hope for with this particular lap. He will still get one more run. There are still 6 minutes left.
Dom also pushing 194 as well through Blanchimon, interestingly.
He spun. He's not pushing 194 through there, but
he's teleporting. Wow.
Yeah, respawn. There's the wheel.
And, Dom, you're going to get disqualified if you're not careful. Oh, get it in the pit lane, quick.
And he's fine.
Lucky. Because you do risk a disqualification there. I thought that was what was going to happen. But he got away with it, thank God. He just got back in the pit lane in time. Of course, he wants to get in the pit lane so he can get another set of tyres on and set one more lap. And he just about made it.
Joe Sayer on a lap in the final sector, and it's valid, so he just has to get through Blanchimont, and the bus stop chicane. Indecisive Mackie has retired from the session. And Sayer Sports, Mr. Sayer, around the bus stop chicane. Takes a wide entry into the final corner, just about keeps it within the track limits, and Sayer Sports will jump up into P8.
And you might have noticed that his deployment went very early there, even before he got to the bus stop. And you do have to be really careful with deployments around here, don't you? You have to, it is one of the tracks where you do have to manage it, as Mike Noon also crashes in the pit lane but does not destroy his vehicle.
Maybe that's where I was going wrong then. I think that says a lot about my throttle application, because I don't think I ever had to manage my deployment.
Right, okay, that's interesting. But definitely around here you have to do it, I think.
I don't think I was using the throttle enough. I was too scared of the curbs.
Here's Buchanan. I don't think he's too scared of the curbs. He's 3/10 up on his previous fastest lap. Going through the bus stop, and if you're interested, Buchanan was around 189 through Blanchimont, across the line, and he goes into second place, 10th and a half, behind Parser, who, well, I don't know how long he's left in the session because he's got a yellow flag out, but I don't think he's got a huge amount of time to get back out there for his final run.
No, I think this would be there's a yellow flag for an AlphaTauri at Radion, which is actually covering
It's,
up the
Tom Penguin.
amount of time left in the session. 4 minutes.
There we go, 4 hours, so he has got time.
Yeah, just about, potentially.
Bazin improves up into 6th place then. Buchanan, no, he's obviously backed off at this stage. He's not pushing on this lap. So driver's still trying to get laps in. Hickman still. He's just about to start his lap now. Can he finally get a lap in? He has to get one in. If he's not careful, he's going to be right at the back.
Well, let's see.
He
He takes La Source. Doesn't take too much curb. Sometimes that's good though, because you want to get a good exit. You want to get a good slingshot, because you're not going to be hitting the brakes until you get to Lake Combe. Now he goes through Eau Rouge. Should be easily flat out, but just make sure that the rear stays on the part of the track you want it to be on, and he does just that. DRS is now wide open down the Camel Straight, slightly uphill. The toe is very effective down this straight, and now braking into Les Combes. Don't take too much speed through the first part because you want to open up the next 2 corners. Now pin the throttle on your way down to the Brussels hairpin, if you can call it a hairpin, and it's a horrible off-camber corner. Sometimes a wider line can work. I personally prefer a tighter line through there. Now through the allegedly no-name corner, and now the run down to Pouhon. He's kept it valid. He just needs a banker lap at this point. He'll still get a good grip position, and through Pouhon take as much speed as you possibly can, but of course keep it within those white lines. Now the Fagny chicane, go all the way over to the left to open up the entry. Don't take too much speed in the first part to open up the second part of the chicane. Now through Stavolo, slightly, it's a corner where you need a bit of precision and a bit of patience. Now Paul Frere curve, go flat out through here. Apparently both of the sectors so far have been purple. Now uphill on the run down to Blanchimont, another place where the toe is just so effective around here. This is why straight line speed around here really does matter. Although with a wet race, may not be the case as much. He almost took a bit too much curb through Blanchimont. He's kept it valid and should keep it valid through the bus stop. It's not really a place where people tend to invalidate their laps. And Theo Hickman uses a bit of the exit curb. DRS is open. He's clipped the wall. And it's P5. So he's got the banker lap in. I don't think he's going to have enough fuel. You'd assume he wouldn't have enough fuel. But he can't afford to burn up the tyres if the race is going to be wet. So if he can squeeze in a cooldown lap,
Jacko,
not too bad. Jacko.
Final corner for Jacko, and goes into second just off Parser. But Hickman had a bit of a strange final sector there, didn't he? He took way too much care of Blanchimont. I don't know if he backed out the throttle, but he'd almost lost the car. Wet Lemons, meanwhile, is flying. He's 2.5 tenths up on his previous lap. This is around about the pace Hickman was at this stage. Can he possibly get ahead of Hickman? He sends Hickman down to 6th place here.
He's already out of deployment. So I swear that wasn't a problem for me. I might have to watch back my footage. But Wet Lemons opens the DRS and will cross the line to go
Oh,
P6.
he lost time. Yeah, he lost time in the final sector. Despite us giving him all the hype and all the build-up, he lost time at the end then. So who's on an improvement at this stage? Kaya's on an improvement and goes ahead of Stereogram. Alex Afro, he's said he's gone purple in the middle sector. I'm not sure if that's genuine or not, but it certainly looks like it's going to be a lap that will be set. And Baz is just behind him as well. So I think possibly Baza and Zafro are the ones to watch here, as Zafro makes his way through all these yellow flags, all these cars who are going slow right now. We've got 26 seconds left in the session, so drivers must be backing up to have one final attempt. Here's Zafro's probable final attempt, and he goes up into 9th place. Bazet runs very wide at the final corner, totally off the track, and goes up into 7th.
And this is a session where you want to just be as high up as possible, because we shouldn't be worrying about the tyre compound if it is indeed going to be wet. So it's not a case of, oh dear, I've qualified P10. I now have the worst grid position of those on old tyres. So yeah, hopefully for Chris Johnson.
The Fagny chicane there took a bit too much care and it will have lost him time, and it was about even with his first sector. He's actually still up on his middle sector. even despite that error, so he must have made an even bigger error on a previous lap. So where can this get him then? Can this maybe get him possibly ahead of Alex Zafro maybe? And watch, Dom has invalidated his last lap as well. So that's Dom out of this session. He was going for one more lap. I don't think we're going to see many improvements at the end here. Say Sports has spun. Mike Noon spins. They're all spinning on the final attempt. Chris Johnson's going around the final corner though. He'll complete the lap and he will go 7th. So decent improvement for Chris Johnson. Baz is going slow. Say Sports is going slow. Mike Noon's going slow. Kai is invalidated. Stereogram has finished the lap. I think that's it for qualifying. Crazy session.
And yes, somewhat familiar faces up the front. You know, Parsa, Jacko, Pip Cannon.
Yeah, well,
Dom
I mean,
and Theo rounding out the top 5.
Parsa, I think once again, Parsa only second one lap. Such was the confidence, and he's just about managed to get pole, because Jacko certainly ran him close.
So let's have a quick run through the grid order then. We've got officially Parsa on pole position for the second time tonight, so it's a 100% record for this evening, with Jacko joining him on the front row, just missing out on pole position. Magic Poop Cannon is P3 for Mercedes, with Dom Smith in the Aston Martin in P4. Theo Hickman qualified 5th and will actually start 5th in this race due to not picking up a penalty. Wet Lemons will be 6th for McLaren, with Chris Johnson slightly better than his recent form in P7. Baza finished in 8th, with Blair Grills just behind. Alex Zafro rounding out the top 10. Sir Tom Penguin, I would say he'd have fresh tyres for the race start, but I think everybody will due to the conditions. Sarah Sports in P12 in the Ferrari, followed by Mike Noon, Indecisive Mackie, Red Bull Kim, Kaya, Stereogram, Mr. John, and Daniel P. Wheelnut is at the back of the grid after failing to set a lap time, so he should be one to watch during the race.
Absolutely. And
oh well,
there's the rain.
There's the fresh tyres that everyone's on.
Yeah. You see the bottom right corner of your screen inside the Mercedes garage, and as it looks like that they're prepared in here. And I'm just having a quick look at Alex Afro's live stream, and you know the way it says the session forecast on the strategy thing with what the weather will be like, and at the very end on the forecast it's showing clouds with no rain. So closing stages, it is only an 11 lap race, but if we get safety cars,
AlphaTauri will be looking at that.
Dry out?
Seems ironic, and AlphaTauri actually won in the wet conditions in the last race. But anyway, here we go. 5 lights are on in Belgium. And now they're out, and we go racing here in Spa. And so far it's a clean start, except for the Alpine in the background who's gone for a spin. But it's Parsa who gets a much better start than he did in Hungary. And Parsa leads them away. It's Blair Grills at the back who was spun. VSC already, and we have a time penalty already for Sir Tom Penguin. But
they didn't even get to La Source, and we had the VSC. So at least they're all going to be nice and steady through a Rouge. Will anybody drop it through a Rouge in these conditions? I wonder.
Well, it was slightly better timing from AWS, deciding to wait until until Eau Rouge to give us the strategy. We're expecting a 0-stop race. Or maybe a 1-stop. It didn't actually tell me which one was supposed to be quicker, but those are the 2 strategies that Amazon thinks we will be seeing. And I wouldn't expect a pit stop unless we get a mid-race safety car.
So once again, Dom maximising the start, made up 2 places. Parsley got away well this time, off the line. Jacko in 3rd. Hickman lost a spot to Wet Lemons as well. So Hickman championship leader in 6th place. Jacko 3rd, Dom 2nd, Pip Cannon 4th. Chris Johnson slipped a couple of positions down to 9th. And again, this is looking like quite a long VSC. They're going to have to be, I suppose, where would you want this virtual safety car to end? Where would you want to be on the track? Because you have to be so careful you don't spin the car as soon as you start pushing again, which is going to be right now.
And I think for Parsa, that's probably where I would have wanted it to restart, in the middle of a corner so that someone doesn't get a big run on you. And Magic Poop Cannon all over the back of Jacko, and Wet Lemons is all over the back of Poop Cannon, and Theo all over the back of Wet Lemons. So we have quite the train through here, and Jacko quite slow through the Paul Frere curve.
Mike Noon huge crash.
Has retired from the session.
Yeah, they had a big crash together. And look at Wet Lemons and Jacko. It's going to be side by side. Watch him on here. Wow, that's so risky. Wet Lemons got through. Brilliant move.
And we got the strategy again at an inconvenient time. So Jacko looks to be struggling in these conditions, but not
Hickman!
as much as Theo Hickman, who's just spun coming out at the final corner. We have another spin for an
Oh,
AlphaTauri, and we have another
I'd say Tom
spin.
Beckman spun as well, and both the AlphaTauri spin he did.
Yep.
But Tom Beckman got away with it.
And we have the strategy for a third time in this race. Thank you, Amazon. Message received. We have Stereogram, who has spun at the back as well. So the bus stop chicane proven pretty perilous so far, but Paris looks in control out there. Magic Poop Cannon now in the slipstream of Dom Smith. Now Magic Poop Cannon did get past Dom in the early stages in Budapest. He doesn't seem to have the straight line speed over the Aston Martin heading down into Le Combe. Dom goes a little bit deeper than he probably would have wanted. Magic Poop Cannon is all over the back of the Aston Martin driver. Dom did say he does not particularly like wet conditions, but then again he was on for a great result in Silverstone until an incident hampered his progress. Wet Lemons now on the inside of Magic Poop Cannon. They're side by side through the Brussels hairpin, and they're still side by side through the Liège corner, and it's Magic Poop Cannon who holds the position. Dom has been given a little bit of breathing room as he heads down into Pouhon. Parsa 2.5 seconds out in front in the lead, so it's looking good for Parsa, but then again it was looking good in Budapest, so I won't say too much on that. But Wet Lemons again looking quite quick. Wet Lemons thriving in wet conditions.
Absolutely, yeah, and Dom, it's a bit like Hungary, this, isn't it, with a bit of a train forming here, but can Dom stay ahead this time? Oh, look at them, very wide through there. So something big like the rain that just appeared on my screen there. So I don't know if it's suddenly much wetter around this part of the track as Stereogram's gone for a spin. But can have a run on Dom in the bus stop chicane this time? If he doesn't, Wet Lemons might be there. Oh, the speed he takes the punch one is amazing. Pupcan will be late on the brakes. No, he decides better of it. Wet Lemons also right on the back. And as you say, it's still 2.3 seconds. And we have another virtual safety car.
Another VSC, which will probably mean that we're not going to get a full safety car. But then again, we have seen 3 pop up before. I think, did we get 3 earlier on in the season?
We got 3 in Hungary last night in TTP1. Yeah, we have 3. Well, we had a safety car and 2 VSCs, didn't we, I think? But let's see when this one goes in then. And this time, well, interestingly, Poop Cannon dropped right back off Dom here. And Wet Lemons is right alongside. Now, I remember a virtual safety car restart in France where Wet Lemons got a bit too hasty, but he hasn't this time, and he's going to be alongside Poop Cannon. And is he going to go for the move for third place on Poop Cannon? Sorry, no, he cannot. But he got very close though. Red Bull Kim got a penalty, and by the way, just as that VSC came out, Hickman and Sir Tom Penguin got 5-second penalty, and Hickman spun again. Hickman spun again at Le Combe. This is a disaster for Hickman. This race has turned into a nightmare, and he struggled in the wet conditions as well, didn't he, in Silverstone? And once again, maybe he just can't deal with the wet. But he might lose his championship lead here. Yeah, there's a great chance that Hickman could lose his championship lead if he's not careful. And he's out.
He's decided enough is enough, and his teammate is also going off on an off-road adventure. So Williams not enjoying the wet conditions in Spa. They did in real life. But yeah, so lap 3 of this race. So we've made it further than they did in real life this season. And Parsa with a 5-second lead on lap 3, despite having 2 virtual safety cars. So Parsa streaking away at the front, but Dom,
look at these.
We have to say, is holding these 2 up. Oh, and was there contact?
Yeah, there was contact. I think Dom was a lot slower through there than Poop Cannon was anticipating, and Wet Lemons has gone through. Does Poop Cannon have damage because of that? I wonder. Yeah, I thought he was down for the pit lane, but he does not. Poop Cannon is going to spin, half spin, and he's done what the old was doing a few laps ago. Disaster for Poop Cannon. He's lost a load of positions, and his Wet Lemon's going to try and go with Dom now. No, he's not. Bazza and Jacko are side by side. 2 Alfa Romeos. Bazza having a great race. Can Bazza maybe get a good exit here and get into 4th? They're going to be side by side. The pros and the lose. No, they're not. Wet Lemons again, also right on the back of Dom. Oh, this is so difficult. Oh, again, Dom is so cautious through the corners. Far more cautious than other drivers are expecting. But it's actually helping Dom in a way, but it won't help him if Wet Lemons manages to pull alongside and get through here, which he does. And it's a McLaren 1-2 right now.
McLaren 1-2 in the wet conditions, and Alfa Romeo running 4th and 5th. Now Bazza is now under pressure from Chris Johnson more so than he is attacking Jacko. But Baza not looking too shabby in these conditions, running in the top 5, and Alex Zafro has picked up a penalty, and we have a spin, and that is Stereocram once again. But towards the front then, Chris Johnson looks like he has a decent deal of pace here, and Jacko looks like he's struggling a little bit. You did mention his straight line speed did look to be quite high, so he must be running a lower downforce configuration. Look at the pace now that Baza has, despite the dirty air. Chris Johnson's trying to get past the pair of them, and there is a contact.
Baza spun. Oh, did he make contact yet?
I think so.
No.
It looked like it, yeah. So Baza now down into P9. Chris Johnson will surely now be all over the back of Jacko. See, if you've got more downforce, you can do things like that, like get a much better exit out of the Paul Frere curve. And now Chris Johnson has the track position over Jacko. And I don't think Jacko's straight line speed advantage is really going to do much, if indeed he does have one. But it does certainly look as if Jacko is running a setup that is catered more towards straight line speed. And Parsa sets the fastest lap of the race, instantly dethroned by Wet Lemons, who looks to be flying out there. So Wet Lemons is...
do you remember Silverstone? He was flying in Silverstone as well, wasn't he, in the wet? This must be the reason behind his name, because he's obviously incredibly quick in wet conditions, and we're seeing it once again here. And could we have... Oh, he's gone very wide there. Rue's nearly done a Lando Norris. But hopefully he does not do a Lando Norris. And, well, we're going to have possibly two McLarens battling for the lead, because look, it's 3.4 seconds now. He's absolutely shedding time on Parsa.
And Sayre Sports is now all over the back of Jacko, but this is the part of the track that Jacko does enjoy, the straight. But Sayre Sports will have to stay behind him for at least a few more corners, and Baza has lost position. Again. He has spun. So Baza, it's gone from bad to worse. He's now dropped down into P12. He's still a long way clear of Red Bull Kim and Kaya. There's only 14 cars that are left in this race, so if they all finish, they'll all score points. So yeah, it's relatively stable now out front. Parsa might just be in cruise mode right now. There's no need to really push too much, but if that gap keeps coming down, then he may have to start picking up the pace just a little bit. But then again, track position. It did take Wet Lemons a few laps to get past Dom, so we shall see how that pans out.
This is why, if I was Hickman, I wouldn't have retired earlier, because he was still in the race, and DNF's to a high probability around here, so he's possibly missed out the chance to get points. But look at Chris Johnson now, gaining, and he's using ERS, and Dom effectively just let him through there. Dom effectively just slowed down and let him through before the corner, and Chris Johnson looks like he could be on for 2 podiums tonight. In 3rd place, he's close on the guys at the front in the championship, and certainly another good result would help him tremendously, especially if he does finish ahead of Dom, Jacko and Hickman, which at the moment looks like he's going to be doing.
I have to say, it's quite the sight. Seeing cars come out the final corner. Sertan Penguin's gone for another spin. So we saw a lot of cars having big wobbles coming out of that final corner. It's a very, very difficult corner exit. And it's all about just feathering the throttle and keeping it in control. Some drivers managing it better than others, but the gap out in front, 2.6 seconds. It was 5 at one point. And, the aforementioned point was not very long ago. So Wet Lemons
comes
flying out there.
I was going to say, here comes Sayre Sports on Jacko, but Sayre Sports not gain on Jacko at all. They were both using ERS, and they were virtually just couldn't get anywhere near him. So it stays as it was with those guys then, and I wonder maybe if Dom is possibly going to come under threat from Jacko, maybe, but Jacko also seems to be struggling quite a bit. So if Sayre Sports can get past Jacko, maybe he can possibly get towards Dom at the end of this race as well. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the championship's going to be like at the end of this race. It's also given mention to Daniel Piquet-Wheelnut. He said to watch out for him, and he has made up a lot of positions, simply because really he hasn't made an error, and he's doing very well in 7th place right now, ahead of his teammates, and Poop Cannon has just been overtaken by Mr. John.
I think Magic Poop Cannon must be struggling with some kind of damage, because he's now under threat from Alex Zafro. Magic Poop Cannon looks very slow out there, so I don't think, because he was pressuring Dom, so he has got pace normally, so I think there definitely is some kind of wheel damage. Let's see the pace difference through this corner. Alex Afro did seem to negotiate a bit better. He will have a run now into Blanchimont. I think Magic Poop Cannon will just decide that it's better to let him go. If indeed he does have wing damage, Magic Poop Cannon should. But then again, he has got Baza and Sir Tom Penguin, but he will still score points, so he is very much better off staying out. But will Magic Poop Cannon decide to pit? No, he doesn't. So he's decided it's better to live with the damage and try to hold on to a top 10 position than to drop back to P12 and go for the fastest lap. 1.7 seconds now. It seems to be about a second a lap.
Oh, my words. I just watched both of them go through a Rouge, and it's just unbelievable. Wet Lemons is just so much quicker than Parser through there. He just has no fear, and he picked up 2/10 just through a Rouge alone, and he is closing in, and he was denied the win, wasn't he, in Silverstone by the drying track at the last corner pretty much. He lost the win, and in fact lost the podium even, didn't he, to Jacko when he spun. Tried to get the position back and it didn't work for him. Sorry, he lost it to Zafro. But can this be the win now for Wet Lemons? He's closing in on Parser, and we've got 4 laps to go. Remember, he did say it was going to possibly stop raining towards the end, but I don't think we'll have anybody gambling on dry tyres at this stage. I'd be absolutely amazed. But it looks like we are going to get a battle for the win, and it is going to be between these two McLarens. And, Chris Johnson will be... He's 7.5 seconds behind them, but Chris Johnson will be hoping that they collide.
Yeah, and they got involved in a few incidents and a few spins in the last race. It's actually almost ironic that it was the dry race that Parsa had the spins in, but it's a McLaren one too. 1.1 seconds now out in front of Wet Lemons will not have the DRS advantage, and there's an incident further back, is there?
No, I was just watching again the differences between the going through the corners. I mean, Parson was like quarter throttle through Blanchimont, and Wet Lemons was flat out. He was flat out through Blanchimont. He is gaining so much time, and there's another fastest lap. How is he so quick in these wet conditions?
I think Parsa was perhaps a bit quicker coming out of the bus stop because the gap has gone back up to 1.6. It was 1.1.
Well, what's through a Rouge here? So backs off the throttle Parsa, and Wet Lemons just the minor lift. Just a minor lift. Parson was fully off the throttle.
So 1.4 seconds has gone down. Another 0.2 of a second. Now I think Parsa is running less downforce because the delta went up.
It must be.
So that could be key. But then again, we saw through the Paul Frere curve, some drivers can go flat through there, others can't. So sometimes having more downforce in wet conditions is still better despite the long straights, because you just get a better run. There's no point having straight line speed if you can't get out the corner. So
struggled a bit through that corner there. He was a bit wide there, Wet Lemons, and it's lost him a bit of time. But it's just corner by corner now. Seeing what it's like as you try and make your way through there. Parser's catching up to Kaya, but Kaya will ghost, of course. So it won't be a problem. And Sir Tom Penguin is on dry tyres. Sir Tom Penguin has decided to put the dry tyres on.
It's certainly a choice.
And Kaya.
Not quite sure. Then again, there's no rain falling, but that track does look quite greasy still. Let's see how Tom negotiates this corner. Not very fast. I have to say,
there's rain on my screen, but maybe it's a different part of the circuit, perhaps.
Yeah, there's a few residual raindrops, all right, but it's... Nah, I think at least about 2 laps too early, perhaps. It doesn't really look like it's paying off. Then again, you know what? He'd nothing to lose. So
yeah, exactly.
Interestingly, the rain light is still on because the track is still officially declared wet. So despite the dry tyres, the rain light is still on. But it's still 1.6 seconds, or around, that kind of 1.1 to 1.7 second range that we're used to. And Parsa, I thought he was going to go a bit wide through there. But look at the speed difference. I think that's the downforce for you.
Yeah. And DRS has been enabled! Well, it's still raining on my screen, but the spray is definitely gone, hasn't it? The spray is definitely gone. And we've got Poopcan in the pit lane, Zafro in the pit lane. Well, this is going to be very interesting. This could be a bit like Russia reversed here. Wet Lemons again, we're still watching these two guys, still battling for the lead. Wet Lemons looks like he's struggling a little bit more now through the corners. Some of the corners.
Sir Tom
What have you seen?
Penguin almost, half spun in the first part of the bus stop chicane. I was watching his delta. I've changed the interval between the interval and the leader. So
Oh, Pip Cannon, he's in the wall. Eau Rouge on the dry tyres, massive crash. And will it be a safety car, a late safety car, late VSC? I think possibly too far late in the race for it, but it just puts the dry tyres on, comes out the pit lane, massive crash at Eau Rouge. But it's less than a second now between Lemons and Parser. I was saying Lemons looked like he was going a bit slow. He's just gone purple, second sector, and he's closing in now. And of course, the DRS has been enabled as well. Well, I wonder if Parser might even pit. He's very wide going into Blanchimont there. He's right on the back of him. Will any of these guys pit? Will Parser pit right now?
well, he will hold up his teammate if he does indeed decide to pit. They both decide to stay out. They both think it's worth staying out, and Wet Lemons gets a big kick of oversteer out of the final corner. He's got his DRS open now, so despite being on the intermediates, their DRS is open. Now, will anyone decide to pit? I don't really know if it's worth it. Another big oversteer moment for Wet Lemons. Now, he will have the run.
This is it. This is the moment, isn't it? Dom's come in, Safe Sports has come in, but this is the moment between these two at the front. Going through Eau Rouge, Parser takes it easy. Wet Lemons is flying. Wet Lemons is going to get him.
But Parser will possibly have more straight line speed, although then again, it's Wet Lemons who has the DRS. Parser will tuck into the slipstream to try and get some speed back, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. So Wet Lemons takes the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix, and Wet Lemons retains the lead through Lecombe. So that's it, move done. Now Parser just needs to stick with him. I don't think it's worth pitting now. If you're going to pit, you would have had to pit on lap 9. It's too late to pit now.
Kaya's had the big crash at Lecombe, but he's at the back. It's not going to affect anything dramatically. So with the top 4 on inters, everybody else is on dries. Red Bull Kim is still on inters though. Sits on Penguin, sets the fastest lap on dry tyres.
I was about to comment. Yeah, he's actually, I think that was 7 seconds quicker. I think he was 1 minute and a minute and 4 seconds down off the leaders. He's now 56 seconds behind the leader.
Well, Dom is in 5th place. Jacko is ahead of Dom. And obviously, this is huge for the championship, especially with Hickman being out of it. These two effectively battle for the championship lead here. And Jacko is on the inters, and Dom is closing in almost at a second pair corner right now. Could Dom win this? Is the track long enough for him to possibly actually win this race?
No, but I think 4th place is certainly possible. So in the end, he won't actually gain anything. Given that he was 4th anyway, but I think Chris Johnson's just going to be out of reach. There's no point for the top 2 to pit. I will still watch them anyway. They both stay out. And Chris Johnson surely will stay out as well. There's absolutely no point pitting this late on in the race. Yeah, he stays out as well. So Dom Smith, he was 33 seconds behind the leader at Liège corner. It's now 30 seconds. He won't really be gaining too much time through here, given that it's all flat out anyway. He does run wide at Blanchimont, and it's a 3-second penalty for Sayers Sports behind. But Dom has to close in 9 seconds on Jacko. That's quite the ask.
I got a bit too excited when I started to question if Dom could actually win it. I think the chances of that happening are incredibly unlikely.
Apologies if I shut you down a bit too sternly.
Well, no, but you're right. 4th place is on the cards, absolutely. Jacko has to be so careful through there now as Kaya pits again and he's got damage. Meanwhile, at the front, still, they're just taking it so easy at the end of this race, and Wet Lemons just has to keep it on the road, and he will win his first TGP race, surely. 1.9 seconds of the gap, he's surely got it in the bag. Dom, 7.3 seconds now. But this is the corner where it's going to be painful for Jacko. Sorry, this is the sector where it's really going to be painful for Jacko.
Yeah, and I'm just, John, going to switch the gap between leader and interval. And yeah, look at that, like several tenths, like 5.7 to 5.2 to 4.8, there's no point, it's just going down far too quickly. And he's going to rapidly close in on Jacko. He has to nail these corners, as does Jacko really, if either of them want to keep this position. But out in front, Wet Lemons, despite the track being dry and the lemons not being as wet as they once were, he's still pulling away from his teammate Parsa. So it's all about just getting it home now and round the bus stop chicane for the final time in this race. It's been an absolutely storming drive from Wet Lemons. who comes home to win the Belgian Grand Prix in TGP2. So
And
brilliant
watch these
drive from
two.
Wet Lemons.
I'm
Dom
sorry to
Smith.
cut across you, Roy, but look, yeah, these Doms coming for Jacko. And I wonder if Josiah might be able to get him as well. Is Dom going to send one?
Surely he's got the advantage. Why would you not? Yeah, he's going to get a
On the
better
corner
exit here,
surely.
Yeah, and will Joe do it as well? Jacko picks up a penalty, so Joe will actually keep the position. Joe comes home in P5 and sets the fastest lap, and now that is actually gone to Baza. Alex Zafra will now cross the line and drop a few places because of penalties. Mr. John comes home 8th. Daniel Wheelnut in P9 from 19th. Sir Tom Penguin had a few spins in the race, was the first one to gamble on the soft tyres. Comes home in P11. Red Bull Kim and Kaya will finish in 12th and 13th. Magic Poop Cannon, after a late retirement, will be classified in 14th.
What a fantastic finish to that race. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Jacko got the penalty. Did Saya Sports have a penalty already, or did he not?
Yes.
I can't remember. He did have a penalty
already.
He
picked up a penalty on the penultimate lap, I believe.
So that did throw away a 5th place then for Jacko on the final corner, getting that penalty. Bazard as well, it was very close between Bazard and Mr. John and Wheelnut. Alex Afro got a penalty in the early on, but a 5-second penalty, I think, under some sort of safety car moment, so he might get that removed, gain a few positions as well. So another fantastic race in the most exciting championship, bar none. It's just always eventful. Wet Lemons is going to add his name to the victory list after that race. He almost got it at Silverstone. He has got it here in Spa.
Daniel P. Wheelnut, driver of the day, gaining 10 positions in that race after starting last. Perhaps could have been a little bit more. I think he was actually slightly higher up at one point. But still, only so much you can do from the back of the grid with no full safety car. But a McLaren won too. How about that? And the team representative looks very happy. Hasn't got a champagne bottle of his own, but happy nonetheless with his trophy. And a McLaren won too, with Chris Johnson making it 2 podiums in one night.
Yeah, really interesting. Great night for Chris Johnson as well. I'll try and very quickly work out the championship standings while I go through the results.
Yeah, the rain's back, by the way. It's chucking it down again. But it's Wet Lemons from officially Parsa. The McLaren won 2 with Chris Johnson rounding out the podium. Dom Smith took a gamble on those dry tyres at the end of the race, and he didn't actually gain any positions compared to when he pitted, so he still ends up in 4th. Sayer Sports rounds out the top 5 for Ferrari, an impressive race from him. Jacko in P6, who stayed out on the inters and just about got caught. Baza with the fastest lap in P7 for Alfa Romeo, with Mr. John coming from the back of the field to P8. Daniel P. Wheelnut coming from the back of the grid to finish in 9th. Alex Zafra rounds at the top 10, followed by Sir Tom Penguin. Red Bull Kim making it another points finish. Kaya gets 2 points, and Magic Poop Cannon, classified 14th, will get 1, followed by the 2 Williams, the Red Bull of Mike Noon, Indecisive Mackie, and Blair Grills, who crashed at the start.
Right, so bear with me just one moment, because this is going to be, these standings are going to look very interesting. I can tell you that right now. 12 points for Dom and 9 points for Jacko in that race. So that means that after this race then, we have Dom on 125 points. Dom leads the championship from Hickman, who didn't score in that race, of course. He's on 119. Jacko is also on 119, but Theo has won more races than Jacko so far this season, so Hickman will be 2nd place in the championship officially. Jacko will be 3rd on 119, Chris on 105, and then Poop Cannon on 99. This is, didn't add passes, but I suspect that decent result for him in Spa might have brought him a bit closer as well to Poop Cannon as well after that one. But so you got Dom on 125, Hickman and Jacko both on 119, Chris on 105 as we head into next week's races. What a brilliant championship this is, and Hickman has lost the lead of it for the first time, I think, at the end of the night so far this season.
Yep, absolutely impossible to predict, as it was last season as well. But I think there's actually more drivers involved this season, which is even more mad to think about. So yeah, really, you don't know race by race who's going to take pole, who's going to win. So I think that's just it's brilliant to watch, brilliant to see how it all unfolds. And yeah, we were thrilled to another night of thrilling racing, and hopefully next week you will join us, same time, same place, different tracks. It will be the Netherlands and Monza, again two very contrasting tracks, one all about downforce, one all about straight line speed. So hopefully a varied field in terms of results.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to the Slipstream Fest that we're going to have in Monza. It's going to be, I think, with this field as well, that is going to be something to watch.
Yeah, so slipstream battles and then track position. It is quite similar in a way to what we've had tonight. Zandvoort and Hungary are kind of in the same sort of type of track, and yeah, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully you'll join us next week, and we'll see you then.